So here's the situation at this exact moment in time. Trip Tatum, still the guy, sitting on a bump spot. Spencer Massey, left lane, not yet qualified, driving Pat Dinkins, Commercial Metal Fabricators car. And Will Smith on the right side. Driving that Larry Dixon throwback scheme with Rick Fisher's name all over it. Making his debut. No matter what happens this weekend for Will Smith, I would have to say he can't be too disappointed about his debut. You certainly want to come out here and qualify and have a shot and race on Monday. But they have had a very nice showing. Certainly got nothing to hang his head about, whatever happens here. So you cross your fingers and you see if it'll work. There's a decal right underneath the driver's compartment about lobular breast cancer awareness. And it is a lobular-breast-cancer.org, racing our way toward awareness. Larry's wife actually was afflicted with that. She is doing great now. Saw Allie a little bit earlier in the day. And, man, the kids, you know the kids keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's pretty amazing how that works.
Spencer Massey has been 3.798. He needs to go 3.780 in order to be a part of this. Or better, of course, or better. .380, 318 miles an hour, Spencer. Not good enough. 393 for Will Smith. Not good enough. They both came up. They both had strong showings all weekend long. They both had a gremlin here and a gremlin there, and they both will be spectators tomorrow at the Dodge Power Brokers NHRA U.S. Nationals. They're checking on Will up at the top end of the racetrack. That little fire is down in the manifold where the panels came out. I wouldn't panic too much about that. The safety safari will get that handled. Just to go back for a minute, I want to explain when Ron Capps and Dean Antonelli were talking about, well, it really ran when the scoreboard said 393. One of the things we talk about at Nitro School, and unfortunately rain washed away Nitro School this weekend, is staging the car is a big deal. The clock does not start when the light drops green. The clock starts when the car leaves the starting line beam. And you've got a little bit of wiggle room in there. If you roll in what they call shallow, where you just barely break the beam and stop, you've got 13 inches that you move forward before you start the clock. It's like having a running start. These things accelerate in a hurry, obviously, right? But just think, if you start at 3 feet or 4 feet behind the starting line, you're going to be going 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour when you break the beam. You can't get that much, but the math, as I've been told, works out to about 100th an inch. So if you stage very shallow and run 4 flat, if you roll the car in 6 inches further, which is perfectly legal, you make exactly the same run. Nothing else changes except the scoreboard says 4.06 because you've given up the running start. In theory, you're a little bit closer to the finish line, and that's what Guido said. When in the final, you kind of chunk them in a little bit. Nobody likes to do that on race day, unless you're the car owner, and then you can do whatever you want, because you could potentially give up lane choice. And unless the race is decided by that 3 or 4 inches, usually lane choice is more important. But in the final round, there's no lane choice in the winner's circle, as they say. And looking at the numbers, and especially with the top light being out, that's at least 5 or 6 hundredths of a second. The car ran quicker than the scoreboard showed it ran on a shallow stage.